Scotland's governing party has elected Humza Yousaf as its new leader. The 37-year-old son of Asian immigrants from Pakistan's Punjab is now set to become the first person of colour to serve as Scotland's first minister. Less than 6 months after Rishi Sunak became the first British Prime Minister of Indian heritage, Yousaf will now lead the Scottish National Party as successor to Nicola Sturgeon. Yousaf is a firm advocate of Scottish independence but has said that he will not follow Sturgeon's path to independence. He has said that the party needs to get back to making the case for independence rather than endlessly debating the process. He's also said an independent Scotland should look at ditching the monarchy. Joining us at this point is Ambassador Bashpati Mukherjee, former diplomat. We also have Colonel J.S. Sodhi, foreign affairs expert, joining us live. Rashmi Samant, human rights defender, is also with us on the broadcast. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, is joining the program as well. Let me begin with you first, Ambassador Mukherjee, on how you view this strategy that Hamza Yousaf is all set to take forward now in Scotland for an aggressive push for their independence.
Well, first of all, I would like to underline the irony that we have a man of Pakistani origin as now going to be the first minister for Scotland, pushing for Scotland's independence, presumably directly inspired by the efforts of the Pakistanis to start an insurgency in Kashmir. There's also great irony that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is a man of Indian origin, pitted against a man of Pakistani origin. But that apart, this gentleman has been in the party for a while. Under his predecessor, the party has lost a lot of ground. It's lost its popularity. It faces a rout in the next elections. So we don't know how long he's going to be around. The fact that he said that he's not going to spend his time endlessly debating about independence probably means that he wants to set things right at the grassroots level. We have to see his performance. We have to see where he comes from. But definitely, it is an interesting and ironical development coming as it does from a region that also voted against Brexit and has never enjoyed its roots with the British monarchy, which is already on shaky ground after the departure of Queen Elizabeth. So all in all, we have to see what he says. But it would appear to me, I was looking at his background, that he is firmly in favor of independence. And if at some stage he insists on a second referendum, which Rishi Sunak will surely refuse, the stage will be set for a confrontation between England and Scotland. And we have to wait and see what happens next. But it would appear that Separatist tendencies are originating in the land which has sowed Separatist tendencies in all its colonies, especially India. Very ironical, very interesting to see what comes next for this.
Yes, quite ironical, of course, that an individual of Pakistani origin will now be deliberating with an individual of Indian origin on a potential British breakup. Let me also, on that point, get in Rashmi Samant, because Rashmi Samant, we have seen a referendum on Scottish independence as well in the past. We've also seen, of course, how the SNP has been pushing for this. But Hamza Yousaf believes that he will adopt a new stand, a new policy, unlike his predecessor, Nicola Sturgeon. What is the implication of this, Rashmi Samant?
Well, I think currently, like the rest of the United Kingdom, even the Scots are facing a cost of living crisis. There's barely any money to eat or heat their homes, and that's like living crisis is priority one for the people, and independence is just low on the list of priorities. That being said, it's true reflection of what the people of Scotland are looking at, and as Ambassador Mukherjee said, the popularity of SNP is it's on a decline. So I think it remains to be seen whether enough Scots would want that should the time come, because currently the entire United Kingdom is gripped with the cost of living crises, extremely high prices, which are not at par with what they're being paid, and I think that is priority one because basic needs trumps everything else. And a breakup at this point of time would only push them deeper in the sort of economic sinkhole. Brexit taught them that. And like I think this will teach them further that it's a lesson learned. So I think they will know when the time comes they're not going to pick this up. But I think it's interesting to see that a country like the United Kingdom, which used the whole strategy of dividing countries based on, artificial fault lines that they created, it's interesting to see the same problem kind of wash up their shores now. And that too, to see it being played out between a man of Indian origin and a Pakistani origin. I think there's a lot of history there as well that will come into play in the sentiments, of course. But I think, yeah, that being said, it's interesting to watch the United Kingdom finally experience the same things that it put its colonies through. I think it's just a law of universe that you just can't hide from the problems you create. It'll wash up your shores at some point or the other.
Yes, indeed. It certainly does show that. But let me also quickly take that to Colonel J. Sodhi on, whether this is going to be a reality very soon for the UK. We have seen what Ireland has been going through in the past. Do you see a similar future for Scotland, where things could turn perhaps aggressive and violent as well?
Jai Hind, Uday. It's my honor to be on a news channel and a privilege to be with the esteemed co-panelist. It is indeed ironical and interesting that Britishers divided India and Pakistan in 1947. Today have a Prime Minister of the Indian origin and the Scotland's First Minister of the Pakistani origin. Humza Yousaf, who was the Justice Secretary for 3 years and then became the Health Secretary before he became the First Minister, has a little controversial past because he enacted the controversial Hate Crime Act of Scotland of 2021, which led to stifling of the freedom of speech in Scotland. So such a man being at the helm of affairs in Scotland, definitely the fissures in Scotland are going to get deeper and deeper. And he also has a great baggage on him that he's the first Pakistani origin person to become a politician in an important constitutional position in any foreign country. In case he is able to take away Scotland from the United Kingdom, the thing will be proved that Pakistanis, wherever they go, they only go with the aim of dividing those countries. So he has an enormous baggage on him. Knowing his past, knowing his credentials, I'm sure he's going to step up the heat on United Kingdom because he knows very well. Today, the United Kingdom is very weak financially, economically, and their efforts in the Russia-Ukraine war have not been of that level which they were expecting. The whole limelight has been taken away by USA. So knowing that the United Kingdom are in pressure, he would definitely, after he settles down in his chair, he would step up his his campaign to make Scotland free from the yoke of the United Kingdom rule. And one last thing I would like to say, he is a man not to be underestimated because he has a large constituency under him, though he may have won by a whisker in these elections as the first minister. But the point is there are 1.4% Muslims in Scotland, which with this important number, he has a lot of following. And I'm sure in the times to come, he's going to create mayhem for the United Kingdom.
Yes, Gautam Mukherjee. Okay, Rashmi Samant, I think you wanted to react. Did you have your hand up? Yes, Rashmi, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I did have I have a point that
Yes.
being said that, this kind of labor sentiment, labor-like sentiment of separatism, was rife in the whole of the United Kingdom, but this was a matter of the 70s. Currently, if you look at the people, there's more of a conservative outlook. Like, people, because the cost of living crisis has pushed them to such an edge that all these social issues are kind of taking a backseat. The way people are thinking right now, I think that has changed. The mentality of the people has definitely kind of changed in the sense that they want to, create this thing. And also the sort of Christians and the white community, they are coming together in a voting bloc more than ever, is what I feel from, what I see during my visits, during my stay. What I see is that they are coming more together than before. And the sort of voting blocks that the Muslim community previously, kind of employed to getting their people elected, the others are also kind of following suit. And I think the next election will be a real challenge because everybody is going to kind of, all communities are going to rally around sort of first priorities for themselves and unite around those causes.
Yes, let me also, in fact, quickly now get in Gautam Mukherjee on, what the implications of Hamza Yousaf's elevation are really. This Pakistani origin politician, perhaps who will become First Minister of Scotland very, very soon. What does this mean for the UK?
Well, Sturgeon used to emphasize independence more than the economy. I quite agree with Rashmi that the current situation in Scotland, as it is in the rest of Britain, as well as in Europe, is fraught with economic difficulty. People are reeling under high prices, energy costs, fuel costs, inflation, and they are focused on survival, I would imagine, rather than independence right at this point. The other thing to note, however, is that Hamza Yousaf does have a fair amount of experience. He's been two kinds of secretary and now the first minister. He's only 37 years of age. If he can consolidate his hold, because he did win quite narrowly, beating two ethnic Scots to become first minister. But if he can consolidate his position by addressing what the Scots need first and foremost, then I think they may rally behind him and go back to this dream of an independent Scotland. You've had Scottish people always chafing at the bit when it comes to the English, the Welsh less so, the Irish very much like the Scottish. So when the economic center weakens and there is no empire and there is no other easy means of reflotation, as in American money, then these things are going to lurk in the background in terms of actual breakup, but they will reinforce as soon as there is economic stability. So it's sort of ironic. Right now they can't get into it because they're so unstable, and they will get into it as soon as they are stable. In Ireland's case, a unification with Catholic Ire is also a straight ticket to the EU, and therefore it has some merit, except that the EU itself is in trouble, what with its economic difficulties, the Ukraine war, which is also, of course, part and parcel of Britain. So it's a difficult juncture in which to be elected. At the same time, I would like to emphasize, we can overdo the business of ethnicity. Watching him speak, he's more like a Asian origin Scotsman to me, just as much as Rishi Sunak is an Asian origin, not really Indian, but he is British. So and they think like the British. And I don't know how much ethnicity has to do with it. But the other point that Rashid made, which I agree with, is a consolidation around communities. Hamza will have strong support from the Muslims in Scotland. The others those who are white and Scottish, will get it from the white and Scottish Protestants and so forth that are in Scotland. But, the Scottish do have an independent streak all along. Even their church is different. Their ways are different. And, this is something that will keep on being an issue, independence, but there are more immediate problems of the economy right here and now. Uday.
Yes, the economic impact, of course, will be immense. And obviously, this will mean further doom and gloom for UK's economy, which is anyways in the doldrums, isn't it, Ambassador Mukherjee? Do you believe, though, that this independence could become a reality soon for Scotland? Or is it still a while away? And also, as far as the economy is concerned, do you believe it's going to be a while before they get out of the situation that they are?
I believe that there is a deep economic crisis all over the United Kingdom. And at this point of time, the Scots, who are known to be very pragmatic people, I think would exercise their right to stay within the United Kingdom, because that way they also get a share of the budget in accordance with the established procedures, etc. If they became independent, they would have to set up their own capital, their own system of governance. They would have to work out trading rules with the rest of the United Kingdom's constituent units, Northern Ireland, England, etc. I don't see that happening. On the other hand, it is also very important for people living in the United Kingdom to understand that while it's quite one thing to have Rishi Sunak, a man of Indian origin, becoming Prime Minister of UK, it's quite another thing to have a Pakistani Muslim born of two Muslim parents, one in Pakistan and one in Africa, becoming First Minister for Scotland with an agenda for independence. It shows a consolidation of Muslim votes, and that consolidation of Muslim votes in Scotland could trigger consolidation of Muslim votes all over the United Kingdom, and that would not at all be in the interest of the United Kingdom. So since they have always been extremely indulgent to people of Pakistani origin, those who encourage secessionist tendencies in India, those who have supported the so-called struggle for Kashmiri independence, etc., this is going to be a huge wake-up call for them. Because when politics consolidate around religion, and who would know that better than Britain, who did this dirty trick on us prior to 1947, whether it was in Bengal or in Punjab, when vote and ethnicity coincide with consolidation around a religion which is already being singled out for certain activities, may or may not be true, may or may not be fair, it serves as a wake-up call to the Conservative or Labour Party white voter, because you would then see, Uday, a consolidation of the white vote against the consolidation of the Muslim vote in Scotland now and maybe in the rest of the United Kingdom later. Don't forget that they have a man of Pakistani origin as Mayor of London. We know the high price the Indian High Commissioner in London paid for that. So all in all, these developments actually don't augur well for the future of the United Kingdom or for the economy for that matter, because in the middle of a deep economic crisis, if there is a consolidation of a minority Muslim vote in an important part of the United Kingdom called Scotland, which has a whole history of independence and wanting to be independent, just like the Irish, it is not a good development. So I would say that a man of Pakistani origin with Muslim parents on both sides becoming First Minister of Scotland is a very significant development with regard to the future of the United Kingdom. I would never say the same thing for the elevation of Rishi Sunak. That's a totally different issue. Uday.
Do you agree that the two should not be equated, Gautam?
You know, it's a degree of emphasis. I don't quite agree with Ambassador Mukherjee, because if this man overdoes it, let's understand that this was no landslide. He just about won. If he overdoes this Muslim bit, he'll be kicked out. It's as simple as that. And if he wants to have a long innings like Sturgeon, he's got to play to the Scottish gallery as a whole and not just the Muslim vote. The same thing applies to Rishi Sunak. He can be as Hindu as he likes and as independent-minded as most Hindus. But if he doesn't hold his Tory party together, it's curtains for him. So far, Rishi Sunak has done rather well. And it is the British people that these people have to cater to, irrespective of their ethnicity. Let's understand one thing. In pockets, immigrants are important and have indeed got districts and counties. But overall, there's just 5 million of them, all the ethnicities put together. When you talk of Khalistan, they bust in from 4 or 5 centers, a total of 500 people. And the person who spoke on your channel that very day alongside me said that there's 500,000 of us. So that's the length and breadth of the Khalistani protest. So there is something to be said of ghettos forming. It's happened in France, in Paris, in other places, where in their ghettos they seem inviolate and all-powerful, but that can be dealt with. The British are very good at divide and rule. They'll change the map again, and they won't be in a majority. So I wouldn't overemphasize a takeover. 45, 50 million white people to 5 million variegated people, they're not going to be taking over. But yes, they have been given a very long rope, and it's starting to get in the way. And I think the white British people are going to subtly and surely, this anti-immigration policy is part of it. There'll be more and more tightening, both sides of the divide. It won't just be the Tories. The Labour Party will also have to do likewise if they wish to win. So let's see what happens. But my view is no, there's no takeover happening.
You made an interesting point, Rashmi, that the British are sowing what they reap. Just elaborate on that. It's quite interesting how they are allowing the Khalistani breakup gang to flourish, whereas their own breakup gang is also starting to thrive, isn't it, Rashmi?
That's right. They've given a lot of fodder to the Khalistani movement, a lot more than they deserve. Especially a bunch of MPs recently have gone around, attesting and adding legitimacy, calling them peaceful and whatnot, irrespective of the history that the Khalistanis have with bombing planes and assassinating sitting leaders. There is definitely this whole thing that they try to play to cater to, destabilization of governments in different countries. They try to, they like playing that. They like to see that. They like to oversee these things and, kind of come in being all important. But I think the problems back home, now they will have to strike a deal between whether they can, afford to, garner these things, because at this point, with the current economic state and the current uprising problems within the United Kingdom, I don't think they can afford to kind of keep nurturing these anti elements which are doing harm to, say, India or in any other country. So I think that will stop, and movements like Free Scotland and stuff like that will add to reasons why not to support Khalistanis, because they have enough problems of their own. That being said, I think they did given a lot of long rope to the Khalistanis. I mean, the way they've been allowed to protest and ransack the Indian High Commission not once but multiple times. This is the only time we put our foot down. During, I think, Independence Day and Republic Day, for the past 2-3 years, the High Commission has been facing, egging and all this kind of sort of ransacking. And this is the very first time that proper reinforcements have come in, and there's a permanent security presence outside the High Commission as of now. So I think growing domestic problems will only add to their reluctance to then fan these Khalistani elements or more elements which tend to destabilize other governments.
All right. Let me leave the last word to Colonel Sodhi then before I take a break.
Uday, Sun Tzu, the famous Chinese strategist of ancient times, had said that strike your opponent when the opponent is weak. Well, for Scotland, Today, the United Kingdom is very weak because of various reasons, as has been brought out by my eminent co-panelist. So this is the opportune time for Hamza Yousaf to strike. After he settles down in his chair as the first minister, I'm sure the first big move he will make is to make Scotland free from the yoke of the United Kingdom rule. And this is going to happen very, very soon.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.